Buenos días, good morning. Welcome everyone to Conciencia Planetaria, a program of Mundo Holistiko TV. Bienvenidos a todos. Este programa va a estar en inglés. This program will be in English today, but tomorrow it will be available in YouTube with subtitles in Spanish or any other language that you want. Mañana va a estar disponible en 24 horas con subtítulos en español o cualquier otro idioma. I'm Tracy Barnett with the Esperanza Project, and I'm deeply honored and excited today to be joined by Beatriz Padilla, wilderness painter, earth defender, and the creator of Voices of the Ocean, and a dear friend of mine from the Consejo de Visiones, Guardianes de la Tierra Vision Council, Guardians of the Earth, whom I met 15 years ago, and she has never failed to surprise and delight me with her passionate and extremely creative and just luminous defense of all that she loves in this precious earth. So for years, something that has really fascinated me about Beatriz, among many of her other commitments and projects, she has entered threatened landscapes, living for weeks or months at a time in deep immersion, painting what is at risk of being lost. Through that practice, her path eventually led her to the Gulf of California, often called the aquarium of the world, where her relationship with the ocean and the whales transformed her work into a calling. Last April, Beatriz undertook a powerful 21-day fast for the whales. And today she's preparing to attend an International Marine Mammal Summit and then a second fast this February as the threats to the Gulf continue to intensify. Beatriz, welcome. It's such an honor to have you with us on Conciencia Planetaria.
Thank you, Tracy. It's great to be in touch with such a consistent journalist on Earth issues that whenever we've called upon you when we're defending something or other, you're always there to support us. And it's great to be able to be part of what you're putting together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There's nothing that a journalist loves more than to have a subject that is inspiring. And you and our other colleagues, and I'm going to continue to mention the Vision Council. Today and tomorrow, we're having another very special program on the Vision Council on Alberto Ruiz, our dear beloved Coyote Alberto, who pulled us all together for the first time. And so we're celebrating or commemorating the anniversary of his passing on the 7th of December. And so we're going to be doing some special programming for that. And Beatriz's interview is one of those because thanks to Alberto, we met each other and many other wonderful people who are working for this planet that we all love. So Beatriz, let's start just to give people a little bit of an idea of who you are. I know you said that you don't want to focus so much on yourself. You'd rather focus on the issues, and I really want to honor that. But just to give people an idea of who they're hearing from here so they can get to know you a little bit, can you tell us just a little about where and how you grew up, what your childhood was like? And what kind of child you were as well? Were you quiet? Were you rebellious? Were you adventurous? Tell us about Beatriz.
Well, I was born in Mexico City, but we used to go to the countryside every weekend. And I mentioned this because I was never one to play with dolls. I looked forward to being in the countryside because I loved going to walk out in the mountains, in the fields, and that was what I really enjoyed the most. And I wanted to be an explorer when I was a kid, and I am somewhat being able to do it when I paint, because sometimes when I'm an activist, you really are grounded to the desk, to the phone, to the car. But as a painter, it's so beautiful to be out in the wild. And I knew I wanted to be a painter when I was about 18. But then I let me step back a little bit. I was born into a position, socioeconomic position, where I realized I was among the privileged, because everywhere I looked, I saw a lot of poverty and social inequality from a very young age. It was obvious. So I said, oh, it was conflicted for me to have this good standing, this socioeconomic standing, until I realized, okay, I accept it, but I will put it in the service of the world, of creating a better world. I was not aware where I was going to serve until at the age of 18, I read Barry Commoner's The Closing Circle. And that just sounded so deeply in me. And I said, this is the field where I want to serve. I want to serve the environment. It actually serving everybody. There is no worse poverty than environmental poverty. And our natural inheritance is so resplendent and amazing that it was clear to me that I was going to devote my life to the environment. I didn't know it. I was not at first in the field of wilderness. I started by supporting an elderly man, nearly 100 years old, in his process of recharging underground aquifers through building small dams on creek beds. Then, at the age of 13, my Saturn return, I learned about the solar race car competitions in Australia, and I said, the most polluted city in the world, Mexico City, we have to be in that competition. So I founded and led the project to design and build Mexico's first, and so far only, transcontinental solar race car. Then I founded Mexico's and Guatemala's only electric vehicle racing championship, an intercollegiate racing championship that's been in Guatemala. It just ran when I was there, but now in Mexico, it's been going on for 27 editions. I'm no longer involved. One of the teams took the staff. Then after 13 years in the field of clean transportation, I realized that electric vehicles are not really the solution. It depends, because in Mexico, 81% of the electricity is produced by burning fossil fuels. And I was so flabbergasted that I couldn't abandon the ship. So I rounded it up until the advanced batteries that we were promoting, a German Zinker battery. The company went broke. And after 13 years in the field of clean transportation, I was bereft of a ship. And the project I was leading arrived nowhere. So that's when I decided to go back to nature. For 25 years, I'd been an environmentalist, holding on to the phone, to the mouse of the computer, to the wheel of my car. And I said, I just really need to be in nature. And that's when I took up my brushes. I took up the calling of my youth that I had forsaken, because I said, how can painting help to heal the planet? And when I took up my brushes at the age of 42, I decided I was only going to paint endangered and protected wild nature. And that way I got to spend a lot of time in really interesting places of extraordinary biodiversity. So far, I've been in 34 painting expeditions, but when you are in this field, it's very difficult not to get involved in the activism. And the forest that gives water to the region where I live, Mexico City, Cuernavaca, is really endangered. It's, you got to start with your own backyard. And this forest, it's huge. Well, it lies between the main capitals of central Mexico, between Mexico City, Cuernavaca, and Toluca. It gives water to 32 million people, where 30% of the gross national product lies. So I began to lead the Forest of Water initiative. We passed on the staff to Jürgen Hoth, who led it for 7 years. And then when he left for Canada, I took up the staff for 6 years. I began a leadership transition because I wanted to go back to painting, and this couldn't depend on one person. So March last year, I completed the leadership transition, and I'm back to painting. And I'm now focusing, it's different because all of my previous 33 painting expeditions, I focused on the landscapes. And now I'm beginning to paint interpretations on the sounds of biodiversity, such as that one over there. It's the other way around. I sent you a photo of that one. It's an interpretation of the song of the humpback whale.
Oh, I need to find that photo and send it to Nacho so he can show it. And glory.
I sent it to you by WhatsApp.
Yeah. I just don't want to take the time right now. I'll come back to that. But what you were talking about with the water forest or the bosque de agua, oh, look at that. It's so beautiful.
Maybe I could turn the computer around.
Yeah. Well, while you do that, I am going to look for that so that I can share it. My computer is moving so slowly. Yeah, just a little bit more background about what Bea was talking about. The Bosque de Agua, the water forest, is a subject that actually you were working on that when I met you. You were giving the most beautiful and powerful presentation about the way that these forests, this whole ring of forests, the critical role that plays in in providing water for the entire, not just the metropolitan area of Mexico City, but so much of that whole region, and that people are entirely unaware of it. And that's a whole other issue that I want to call together a group that's working on the water forest issues and do an interview on that down the road. But coming back to the current subject of today, I'd like to ask if you could tell us about your first wilderness immersion experience. Where were you? Why did you choose that place? And what was it like for you?
Actually, it was a result of the Council of Visions that took place in Peru, in the Sacred Valley of the Incas. Mm-hmm. That was my first time in Peru, and I fell totally in love with the place, and I said, I would just really love to be here. So I made friends with the people from Hostal Chupawasi, and I asked them if I could go and paint at the skirts of Machu Picchu, which it's a hot spot, an area of great biodiversity but endangered. And so I spent 18 days it's right where the tropical forest of the Amazon basin is born. So it's a tropical Andes, and it's full of palms. It's not like the barren mountains of Machu Picchu, but it's right there at the very edge, because you cross the Urubamba River and you're at the Apus of the Andes, but you come back to this side where Aguascalientes is, and it's tropical. And from there down the Amazon basin all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, it's tropical. It was incredible. I was, when you go to paint in the beginning, you are full of the things you have in your head, but gradually, the more time you spend there, you become more sensitive to the presences, to the sounds, to the changing light, and I fell in love with the oficio, or with the practice of being a wilderness painter. And I said, I will be a painter, but only endangered and protected wild nature. Uh-oh. And so there is no other theme that interests me as a painter, only wild nature. That is so far away that nobody hears about the plight.
Perdimos el sonido. I think we've lost sound. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I hear you very well.
No escucho nada. I don't hear anything.
Mundo Holistiko is saying on the chat that everything
is nada. Oh dear. Well, yo no escucho nada. I don't hear anything. So
Okay, Mundo Holistiko is saying please, that it's your audio.
Mi audio está prendida. No sé. Voy a...
You cannot hear me?
Pero absolutamente nada. Este no va a funcionar. ¿Debo salir y reingresar, Nacho? Sí, voy a volver a entrar. Okay. Thank you, Bea. So sorry that for a moment I lost sound completely. So we had to restart. And so we were talking about your first wilderness immersion, right?
Yes, and how that defined me as a painter, that only wild nature is of interest to me. There's no other theme that I intend to focus on.
Yeah. And where did you go for this one?
Well, I've done 34 painting expeditions. I've been in, let's see, I've got the list right here. Let me quickly, I'm not gonna tell you all, but I'm just gonna say that they've been long-term immersions, except one of them that I had to come back quickly to the coral reef of Cozumel because there was a big threat of a landfill. And so we had to put up a big fight against the landfill, and we didn't win that one. But I painted at the skirts of Machu Picchu. The first 10 expeditions, actually from the 2nd to the 11th expedition, I was part of a project that was sponsored by Douglas Tompkins, the founder of the North Face and the Esprit, who then sold everything in order to promote wildlands philanthropy. And he actually published a book called Wildlands Philanthropy and American Tradition. And with Antonio Vizcaíno, whom I also met at the Council of Visions, he was the photographer of all these wild areas around the world that were protected through American philanthropy. And that was the purpose of the book by Douglas Tompkins. And so we went to several places in South America, in the United States, and in Namibia. And that opened my eyes to the importance of wild nature conservation. And so all of my paintings, because I choose places that have interesting, alarming, relevant nature conservation stories. So whenever actually I have a show and I try to tell people about the importance of each place, like that one, for example, is the Okavango Delta in Botswana, an incredibly biodiverse place.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to go through my show, so I try to keep it short because every painting tells a really interesting story of nature conservation. That one is an interpretation of the song of a humpback whale, which are songs that are repeated by the male whales, made sometimes for 24 hours, and that it's a culture among whales. The songs change over time, but the tones, I mean, the notes, the time it takes between the notes, it's a song. It's not a vocalization, it's a song. And I recently read that they actually, when they sing, they go the vertical. That they sing in a vertical position, like like a sperm whale sleep like that. I'm learning more and more about the whales, and was interesting. One of the questions that you shared with me that you wanted me to talk about was, what was the landscape that truly broke my heart? That the one that has really broken my heart. And it is now the gray whales. It's my next painting expedition. It's going to be in February to the Reserva de la Biosfera del Vizcaíno, to the San Ignacio Lagoon, because the gray whales, well, they were almost hunted to extinction in the 1800s and early 1900s. And then when the original, it is estimated that the original population was 30,000. In 1946, there was a ban in the hunting of the gray whale. And the population came back to 27,000. So from 30,000 to nearly extinct, it came back. 10 years ago, it was 27. From 30 to 27, nearly fully recovered. In the past 10 years, the population has been reduced by more than half. From 27,000 last winter here in Mexico, there were less than 13,000. And on the way back to their feeding grounds in Alaska, the proportion of babies was lower than ever. This many moms, this many babies. Well, now this many moms, this many babies. And there were only 85 babies going up. And they're starving. They are arriving starving. If you can show the other photograph I sent you, you can see how the gray whales are arriving skinny. And in the last year, there were 900 and something dead whales along the coast of the Pacific from Alaska to Mexico. 900 gray whales. You can see here how you can actually tell the spinal cord of the whales and how they are much skinnier, and they are really starving. I don't know if in 10 years the population went from 27,000 to less than 13,000. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll be gone in the next 5 years. The gray whales, the friendliest of whales.
But why are they starving?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm going to this next Sunday. I'm going over to the second international gathering for the study of aquatic mammals. I'm going to meet there with all the experts on whales because they themselves are not so sure. Well, for one thing that's really affecting marine life is the melting of the ice sheets in the winters of the Arctic and the Antarctic. For example, in the Antarctica, in the winter, the continent grows by 800,000 square kilometers. That's 500,000 square miles. That a sheet of ice grows, and then in the summer it melts. In that, underneath that sheet of ice, there grows some algae, and this algae is the main food of krill. So when the ice sheet is that big, there's all these millions of krill, which actually are the largest, by volume, the largest animal on Earth by volume. So when there's no ice, when the ice is smaller, forms later, melts sooner, there is less krill. And the same happens in the Arctic. There is less krill, and not only that, there is this growing project for the commercial fishing of krill to produce dog food and that kind of things.
No.
So I think that we should really ban, in the face of what's happening to the starving whales, the fishing of krill should be completely banned.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, well, gray whales, they filter food, not like the humpback that opens its mouth in the water and gets the krill and gets the herrings. The gray whale filters sand. So between Alaska and Russia, there is this, in the Bering Strait, there is this vast field of sand, shallow, clear water, and that's really perfect for the feeding of gray whales. And I don't know, they feed on these very small crustaceans that live in this sand, and that maybe these crustaceans feed on the krill or the algae or the phytoplankton. It's related to the loss of polar ice, as far as I've read, but I'm going to this Mazatlan gathering of experts to find out and learn more, so I can be a better spokesperson for the whales.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we lost 14,000 whales in 10 years, and we only have less than 13,000 whales left, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. That is the issue that has broken my heart worse than anything. That the loss, the extinction of these whales that are fascinating. They're the friendliest ones. They're the ones that approach, that allow themselves to be touched. And you see, the Gulf of California is like a crevice between two tectonic plates. So the walls of the Gulf of California are very vertical. It's very deep. So there's no sand that can form there. But on the outer side of the peninsula of Baja, along the Pacific coast, it's not deep. So you get really nice sandy stretches, underwater sandy stretches, where they can feed. And I have a lot of questions. I know that they super feed in Alaska, and they fast when they arrive in Mexico, and then they go into these lagoons in the Pacific side of the Baja Peninsula, where they find peace, quiet to have their babies, feed their babies, be parent mothers, and to breed, mate. And that's why it was so easy in the 1800s, when the whale hunters from San Diego discovered that the whales actually went into these lagoons. It was so easy to catch them. And they almost did away with them completely. But when the whale was forbidden, when the whaling was forbidden, then the population recovered. And I don't know, I just hope they adapt. I just hope they begin eating something else, eating when they come south. And I also learned that there's a river in the north of California that in one single year it came so loaded with agricultural waste, agrochemicals floating in the water, and industrial waste, that in one year it killed all the crustaceans and mollusks living in the sand outside this river in California. So not only that, you see, there's also, the natural dynamics. Orcas feed on the young. They are the main predator of the gray whales. But there's also the issue of ghost nets floating in the ocean. There's something like 440 million tons of nets lost each year at sea. Each year at sea. So these nets get cut in the whales and that's a death sentence. There's also the silent enemy, which is pollution. Pollution in the water. Actually, the gray whale, there's two populations. One population, they both feed in Alaska, and one population goes down to Asia, and the other one comes down to Mexico. So they're both Pacific whales. The ones that go down to Asia, there's only a few hundred left. Not even 1,000 gray whales of that population. The ones that come down to Mexico in the winter of this year, in the early winter, I mean like February, March, there were 12,500 gray whales left. But in Asia, where they can still hunt the whales, they discard the meat because it's extremely toxic. It's got cadmium, I don't know how many heavy metals. So that's another danger to the whales. They are probably really sick, really full of pollutants. So they don't resist, they're probably not feeling too well, and they don't resist the hunger. And right now there's this unusual mortality event where in one single year there were 900 whales found dead along the coast of the Pacific from Alaska to Mexico. That's just so sad, so unbearably sad.
It's horrifying.
Breaks my heart worse than any other.
Yeah. And the numbers you were talking about are really, really quite shocking, because when you think that you said 14,000 died in the last, what period of time did you say?
10 years. In 10
the last
years.
10 years. And if there's only 12,000 of this population that still exists, I can see why you're concerned. This is very concerning.
I don't know if we're going to see the extinction of the gray whales in the next 5 years. I don't know.
I think people really need to wake up to this. And it's hard, because I remember when I was first getting involved in environmentalism, maybe 30 years ago, Save the Whales was a big, it was a big subject. And then it went away, and now Save the Whales is just kind of like a throwaway phrase that people say when they're trying to mock environmentalists, for example. And so it's really a little overwhelming to think about how to actually do that. So I'm really, really glad that you're going to that conference. And I would love it if you could record some of the sessions, the ones that you really like, maybe do a few interviews with some of the lead scientists, and we'll see if we can turn that into some content for the Esperanza Project so that people can dig deeper.
You.
Yeah,
thank you, Tracy. Yeah, I'm full of questions. I'm loaded with questions, and I'm sure that when I get there, I'll have even more. My biggest question is, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? I founded a little group that is thinking about how, because the loss of sea ice is not only the thing about the krill growing underneath, but the algae growing underneath feeding the krill. It's also the issue that where do the marine mammals, like the seals, for example, keep their babies? I don't know if you've seen these images where there's this tiny little ice cube with a mother and a cub, and the mother cannot even go fishing because normally they parent in communities, so they can leave their cub with the other mothers while they go eat and then come back. But there's not even space for a second mom on that ice cube. And so the loss of sea ice is really a big, big, big issue. And on top of that, now let's go inside the Gulf of California, no? As if things were not bad enough, as if the stress on these great marine mammals that are so ancient and intelligent and mesmerizing was not big enough. They're planning on building a huge infrastructure that will dramatically alter the entire Gulf of California. It goes like this. Texas has a lot of natural gas, but it doesn't have a way to send it to Asia. So, to the big markets of China, South Korea, Japan. So the plan is to build a 500-mile long pipe for natural gas pipeline from Texas across Chihuahua all the way across across Sonora to the northernmost reaches of the Sea of Cortez. There, they plan to build a huge gas liquefaction plant to convert it to methane gas, and a huge port to receive methane tankers 300 meters long. I don't know how much that is in feet, but they're huge. And they actually, to maneuver them to dock, you need other smaller boats to move them around. Well, that's going to increase the maritime traffic along the length of the Sea of Cortez is about 1,000 miles. Mm-hmm. Well, this is going to be about 900 miles long of heavy maritime traffic going up and down the Sea of Cortez, the aquarium of the world. The Sea of Cortez harbors 39% of the world's marine mammals. Wow. 39% of the world's marine mammals. That's why Jacques Cousteau called it the aquarium of the world. Now, you build a maritime route of methane tankers, also known as whale killers, and you create all this noise as if there wasn't enough stress already.
Mm-hmm.
This
whales are sensitive to sound, right?
Yeah, they're extremely sensitive to sound. Sound travels four times faster in water than it does, or further in water than it does in air, and faster. Wow. And the whales are extremely, extremely sensitive to sound. They use the sound to communicate, to find their bearings. Just to give you an example, the sperm whales, 1/4 of their body is devoted to the sound system, to the system to understand their whereabouts and to hunt. 1/4 of their bodies.
Wow. So yeah, so the sense of sound for them is, I wonder what kind of impact this marine traffic is having on them.
Well, actually, I've read that most of the whale strandings are believed to be caused by oil exploration and by the sound caused under the sea, under the water.
When they're drilling. Oh my God.
And we're also sending some sonars, some big loud noises and explosions to explore the sea,
and
explore
so
the ocean.
That's what's causing the whales to beach and essentially just commit suicide. They're killing themselves because they can't stand that sound.
Some of those actually destroy their hearing system. Oh. They damage it.
And I can imagine that without that, they have a pretty hard time navigating.
And finding each other in the big blue. Mm-hmm. So, and not only that, you see, the whales are super emblematic, super charismatic. And then there's also they are also an umbrella species. Protect the whale, you have to protect the entire habitat of the whales. Then you also have this very strong interest in protecting commercial species, commercial fish species. So there's a lot of regulation and laws, but the laws are devised by the industry to protect their economic interests. So, but what happens with all the other species that are fished? For example, the sea urchins, the stars in the ocean, that are, when you have these nets that are sprawlers, or how they call the ones that sweep the ground of the ocean, and then they get everything up into the ships, and then they collect the fish that are commercial, and everything else dead goes back into the ocean. So, and without realizing that everything else that they're sending back into the ocean is super important for the survival of their own cherished commercial species. So all the measures of conservation and all the law is for the conservation of the economically valuable species, disregarding all the other species that create the ecosystem that makes these other species survive. And not only that, they also are key to our own survival. And I'm not anthropocentristic at all. I think I've learned enough to know that the web of life is so closely, tightly knit that the sea urchins are key to our survival. I'm reading this book that is by François Justice for the Starfish. And well, it's really saying we have to protect the ones that nobody cares about, because they are essential for the survival of all the species in the ocean, because everything is tightly woven and interdependent. Or this other book, Vida Sumergida by Catalina Velasco, where she actually tells this case in the shores of British Columbia, of this scientist that was monitoring the kelp forests. The kelp forests are in the poles, in the coastal, the coast close to the poles. They are forests that are even 50 meters tall. What's that like? I don't know how many feet, but
it's like 150 feet tall. Yeah, it's like a 15-story building, actually.
Yeah,
but
and they have
Beatriz, I'd like to we've got only about 10 minutes left, and I want to talk about the subject that we've got in our title, which is the fasting for the whales. And I'd like to hear about your whole experience of fasting on the shore of the Gulf of California back in, it was April, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us about that? What led you to do that, first of all? And then if you can just share with us a little bit about the experience.
Well, our common friend Noel Romero, I went to visit, and she tells me, "Bea, what are we going to do about the Saguaro Energy Project? This mega project to build this entire route all the way to the northernmost reaches of the Sea of Cortez to export natural gas to Asia." And I was just coming out of this extremely complex forest of water project around Mexico City, where we involved a lot of communities, and I was really exhausted. And I said, the only thing that right now I can envision myself doing, and actually it was Noel's idea. She said, "What are we gonna do? Are we gonna do a hunger strike?" And I said, that's what I can do. That's what I can do, a hunger strike. But a hunger strike can only make sense if it's widely talked about. No, so I had to do it very closely related to social media. I've never been much into social media, so I asked a friend of mine, Chantal, and then Ivan Sawyer, and so they said, let's put together a social media campaign around this, because I was also going to paint. That was when I've come back to my painting after the first water. I've come back to my wilderness painting expeditions. So with Ivan, with Noel, with my husband Emilio, with Chantal. Chantal is the author of the title, Voices of the Ocean. We put together all the structure, and with my friend Keith, Alex Jones, so that we would be able to be transmitting every day. And so I prepared for 3 weeks in advance. For this second fast, I've got 2 months to prepare. But with our friend, the herbologist Carlos Gomez, he said, you gotta eat protein-rich fats, like in nuts. So I put on a good deal of fat, blubber, and so I began the fast with a temazcal, and then I went over to Loreto in the Gulf of California. I was only taking crystalline liquids, such as, how do you call these ones that help you retain water? Electrolytes, and some minerals, and I took a small shot of olive oil twice a day. And I did take, because I didn't want to put my bones at risk. I'm 63 years old, and I don't want to have osteoporosis, because I still want to be a powerful environmentalist for the remainder of my life. The world needs powerful environmentalists, so I need to be healthy for that. And so I did take another crystalline liquid, but it's collagen, which is a kind of a form of protein, but in small amounts. And I felt really very, very good, very healthy. I did feel sometimes really tired, but I painted about 8 hours a day. I think that making this painting, that one, which has about 220 hours of work, I wake up in the morning and I would just go paint, and I would drink a lot of liquids, and I would drink what my nutriologist said that I had to take as minerals, etc. And then I would have to take a break, because whenever I felt hungry, I just drank a lot of water. And when I felt weak and really tired, I just lay down for an hour or so, or for 40 minutes, and then got up and kept on painting. And the painting really kept my mind away from hunger. I think that really helped, that I was very busy painting. And then I really think I could have gone for the 40-day fast, but I wasn't prepared for that. I had prepared for a 21-day fast.
Yeah. 21. Why did you choose 21? What is it about that number, 21 days?
Well, I was inspired by Gandhi. Throughout his life, Gandhi did many, many hunger strikes. Mm-hmm. And this was a hunger strike. He did actually 3 hunger strikes when he was older than I am now. 21-day hunger strikes when he was older than he was 58 on the first hunger strike, 21 days. But the other 2, he was 65 or so. And I actually, my hunger strike extended a bit longer, because where I was, we didn't have a car, and there was no supermarket or anything, and I didn't have what my nutritionist said. I had to make juices and stuff. So I bought a huge savila, how to say savila? Aloe.
It's aloe vera.
So for 2 days, I only ate the clear part of the aloe. I ate an entire aloe, but that's basically like a mono diet. I still wasn't eating anything other. That's almost a liquid, but I was chewing. I was generating saliva. But I was feeling really, really great. I think that ending with the aloe really hydrated because of the goo of aloe. And I had also brought a lot of chia, which also with the aloe and the chia, and then I began to eat steamed veggies. I got my guts back to working again. But I was feeling really, really, really good. I prepared well, and the toughest part of fast is breaking the fast.
Oh, really?
And during that time, I tried to make as many. I sent letters to the president of Mexico. I sent letters to the environmental authorities. We interviewed the authority of Loreto, the county governor or whatever, I don't know, presidenta municipal.
Mm-hmm.
And much to my surprise, I was interviewed by local media. Much to my surprise, nobody knew about the threat of the Saguaro Energy Project, even though these are communities that thrive through tourism that comes to see the whales.
Mm-hmm.
And not even the Presidenta Municipal was aware of the Saguaro Energy Project. So I think that the impact I had was locally to the community of Loreto, where I had an interview, and everybody would, hey, I saw you on the interview. This particular journalist is very much listened to in Loreto. So I had a local impact. And then with Ivan Sawyer, who wanted to do the vigil for the whales, we did an event in Loreto. I was all the time during the fast, I was at a beach south of Loreto. So we had an event in Loreto, and a lot of people didn't know about the huge threat of the Saguaro Energy Project. Now, I've learned that the company itself is having trouble, but the main advocates to make the Saguaro Energy Project happen are not the Ministry of the Environment, but the Ministry of Energy and the governor of Sonora. Those are really hot on the Saguaro Energy Project. So the project is not canceled yet. What is probably making it tough for it is that the pipeline they want to build between Texas all the way to the Sea of Cortez runs along states that have a lot of crime and drug barons, and so it's dangerous. But also, apparently, the company is mismanaged, and they're changing leadership a lot. They name local opposition as one of the reasons, but mine is Voices of the Ocean is not the main campaign. The main campaign is called Ballenas o Gas, and they are doing astonishing, great, wonderful, beautiful work. If you want to learn more, I suggest you let your readers go and check the ballenasogas.org, ballenasogas.org website, which is the website of this campaign to stop the Saguaro Energy Project. And so when I go to make my fast, my second 21-day fast, it will not be inside the Gulf. It will be on the side of the Pacific of the Baja. And it will be mostly in solidarity of the hunger of the gray whales. But I will also be speaking against the Saguaro Energy Project. I got to link the two hunger strikes. So one of them was clearly a hunger strike. This one is this upcoming one is in solidarity with the hunger of the gray whales. And I'll be making a painting again of an interpretation of the vocalizations of the gray whales. Mm-hmm. That's right, ballenasogas.org. Mm-hmm. They are doing incredible, amazing work. They've really created a coalition of organizations, and my respects.
So that was going to be my closing question, Beatriz. I would love to have another hour to talk with you about this, but we do have to unfortunately close. How can people follow what you're doing? How can they learn more? What do you encourage people to do if they really want to get involved and help with this?
Okay, well, My Instagram is, let me put this on the chat so that people can follow. My Instagram is Beatriz Padilla, Artista Visual, and my Facebook is Beatriz Padilla.
Mhm. And hopefully, maybe Ivan will. Maybe we can talk him into doing some more lives, because that was amazing when he. If you want to share, Nacho, Ivan Kuksan Sum is the Instagram up above. That Ivan has some wonderful interviews that he did the first time that Bea did her first fast, and interviewed scientists and explorers and people who are very much involved in the defense of the whales. And maybe he'll do another one or two this time around.
Actually, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're going to do one when I'm over there in Mazatlan at this gathering of experts.
Oh, good.
And we are going to, I'm going to get 2 experts, and at 7:00 in the evening, we're gonna do an interview with them. So it's going to be another Instagram live with Ivan next Tuesday.
Okay. And if you guys will make me a collaborator, then that can stream from the Esperanza Project Instagram as well.
Thank you. That would be great. That would be great. And then during that week, I will be making 3 interviews of the experts that I meet in Mazatlan at this gathering of experts. Great. I will try and do 3 interviews, and I will be sending you the information so that you can. Great. Tracy offered, as a classical act of Tracy to be a real trooper. She said, "Send me the audios, and I will give them shape and make publications about these issues." So that just shows you the caliber of person that Tracy Barnett is.
Well, I'm excited to be able to do it. And nowadays that we have automatic transcription, it's not perfect, but it's a wonderful tool, and it really helps make so many more things possible. I see we just got a comment from DL Hamilton. Hello, DL. It's wonderful to see your comment there and to know that you're listening. She says, "Beatriz is amazing and so appreciate Mundo Holistiko, realizing that Tracy L. Barnett of the Esperanza Project would do a wonderful job of bringing in such inspiring speakers. I have learned so much from her. She brings the eagle and condor together, and it is efforts like that that will save our beautiful blue planet." Wow, thank you, DL. That is so wonderful. And DL has been supporting the Esperanza Project ever since I met her at the Sovereign Sisters Gathering with Cheryl Angel and so many other wonderful women in, I think it was 2019, right? Beatriz is so inspiring. Appreciation to the editor of Esperanza Project. This is, for inviting Tracy to continue her work through your platform. She educates us. Well, thank you very much for that. And here we have something from Javier Romero. Interesting program. Congrats, Tracy and Beatriz, on my relations. Thank you very much, Javier. Many thanks for accompanying us on this. Well, so Beatriz, I would propose that before you go into your second fast in February, that we get together and we do a follow-up interview, because by then you will have learned so much and you'll be just on the verge of another, really an inner journey as well as the outer journey. And I would love to accompany you in that, and if only remotely, maybe in person, who knows? We'll see. So
Tracy, for sure. And at that point, I'll have a lot more knowledge about the situation and what we can do.
Absolutely.
So yes, gladly. Thank you. Thank you. What I'm doing, without people interested in what I'm doing, it wouldn't have much impact. I fully agree with all the comments that we've read, that you are doing a wonderful job bringing very relevant issues to the foreground, Tracy. Thank you.
I've been so blessed to be able to have people like you cross my path and to be able to use this platform now to share. It's really wonderful. So
thank you to Oscar, the guy that's helping us technically. Please, I forgot your name. Nacho, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much, Nacho. You have really done it's wonderful to work with such good quality people who know what they're doing on this sort of thing. And it's beautiful the way that he puts images to our words. So thank you, Nacho. Yes.
Yes,
And,
Nacho, thanks a lot.
yes, and thank you to Mundo Holistiko. And without further ado, I think we'll go ahead and say goodbye for now. Just hasta luego. Not adios, just hasta luego. Hasta pronto. Okay. Goodbye. Ciao, ciao.
¿Cómo es posible que nadie pensó en proteger el acuario del mundo, donde vive el 39% de los mamíferos marinos del planeta? ¿Cómo es que nadie pensó que los mexicanos íbamos a permitir que sucediera esto de construir una vía marítima donde se van a exportar 15 millones de toneladas de gas natural licuado por todo el mar de Cortés? Yo veo eso y no me puedo quedar de brazos cruzados. Ningún mexicano se debería de quedar de brazos cruzados. ¿Tú qué puedes hacer? Síguenos en redes sociales y viraliza esta información. Juntos podemos detener este proyecto. Estamos a tiempo. Soy Beatriz Padilla, pintora de áreas silvestres. Voy a ir al Golfo de California a iniciar el proyecto Voces del Océano, en el cual voy a pintar interpretaciones del sonido de las ballenas y voy a hacer una huelga de hambre de 21 días como una manifestación de mi total oposición al proyecto Saguaro Energía de Gas Natural Licuado.